All right, the New Orleans Saints made big news recently when they acquired another first round draft pick. They now have two, and there's a lot of speculation going around of what they're going to do with those picks. Miles, what's the latest there?
Yeah, Nick. So, New Orleans Saints traded with the Philadelphia Eagles for a litany of draft picks. This has now the Saints placed squarely in the middle of the first round. They own number 16 and 19 picks, respectively. And a lot of people have been asking, why have the Saints done this? What are they going to do with those picks? And I believe through a little bit of investigation, I have found what the answer could be. Off of a website called Fansided, there's like local fan base pages. Kristen Wong posted an article about the Saints possibly moving up into the top 5 to get a quarterback. And I think that this is a pretty interesting move because if you do the math, pick 16 on the draft value chart is worth 1,000 points. Pick 19 is worth 875. And pick number 5 is worth 1,700 points. So 1,875, 1,700. They're pretty close in value there. A 2-for-1 for first rounders hasn't happened in the last time, but the last time it happened is when New Orleans did it, I believe in 2003. And New Orleans, speaking of such, is a team known for trading up. In fact, last year alone, they traded up 3 times in the draft. First off, they traded from 88 to 74 to pick up Wisconsin linebacker Zach Bond. They traded a couple of picks to move up to number 105 to get a tight end Adam Troutman from Dayton. And they also traded up later in the draft to pick up Mississippi State quarterback Tommy Stevens. In 2019 as well, they've traded up. They've traded up for the last few years consistently. So this lines up with the Saints, I guess, mantra, their strategy in the draft. What do you think about all of this, Nick?
So I agree with you 100% that this move, this trade to pick up the second first round draft pick is all about getting a quarterback. The New Orleans Saints for years now have been in a very bad salary cap situation, and they kind of extended that. They brought them some relief this year with some contract restructuring, but they still just push that money down the road. So when you have a lot of money tied up in the salary cap to certain veteran players, the only way you can be really successful in the NFL is if you have a cheap young quarterback. So that's why they moved back in the first round this year. It's all about getting a quarterback. You brought up them trading in later into the top 10 using their 2 first round draft picks. I think the most interesting trade partner would probably be the Carolina Panthers at number 6, their division rival. That'd be a very interesting trade. I don't know if interdivision trades don't happen very much, but that's one of those few situations where both parties would win. The Panthers would get more picks. They need the picks, and the Saints could move up into 6. And they would probably only do that if there no other quarterback had been taken. They could move into 6 and take whoever they like best, whether it's Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, or maybe Matt Corral. But personally, I don't think they should trade up. I think staying at 16 and getting a guy, I think Matt Corral is probably the more obvious pick there. I think that's a nice natural fit. What do you think they do? Do you like them trading up, or do you like them sitting pat and picking who falls to them?
So here's my playoff scenario right here. If Malik Willis is taken at number 2 by the Lions, like we have stated multiple times that we think that is probable, I think you trade up. Because I think if you got a guy, if Malik Willis is there, there's only a few quarterbacks left. So your probability of getting a good guy at that point has now narrowed down greatly, depending on who you value most. And Carolina, most likely, is also looking for a quarterback at that number 6 slot. And I even think that the New York Giants could be looking for a quarterback if they say they're going to stick with Daniel Jones, but who knows what that word really means. So if Willis goes at 2, I think they trade up. If Willis does not go at 2, I think you can stick it out and possibly wait, because I think no matter what happens from that point on, a good quarterback will fall to you at 16 most likely. So I think that would be the play there. That's what I would do if I was them.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because, right, if you're the New Orleans, they're obviously committed, like we talked about, to getting a quarterback. The worst thing that have happened is a run on quarterbacks early in the draft, and you're left empty, and you're sitting there at 16, and you got to reach for somebody. Maybe you got to get a Sam Howell really early or a Desmond Ritter really early, and you don't want to do that. I like the idea of seeing what happens early on and then potentially trading up. I think a lot of Saints fans are probably a little confused because they brought back Jameis Winston, they signed Andy Dalton, thinking, why would they go quarterback? And look, let's say Winston works out and becomes a legit superstar and lives up to his potential. Hey, great. That's awesome. Works out great. You have him on contract. But the reality is Winston has had injury problems. He's had turnover issues. If he's not the long-term solution with how bad the Saints salary cap situation is, it's going to be really ugly in New Orleans for probably the next 5-6 years. The Saints have seen it. Look at Carolina. When you go bad at quarterback, no matter how good you are everywhere else, things get bad. So I really applaud Mickey Loomis, general manager of the New Orleans Saints, for making the move to get a quarterback here, whether it's by trading back into the top 10 or using the pick at 16 and getting a guy.